Ladies and gentlemen, we're back like we never left.
And today, we're going to talk about the mindset required for success. Shout out Tina. This was inspired by one of the Q&A questions, and we thought it'd be a lot better to do a full episode on it because we could talk about these things for way longer than just one answer to a question.
Yeah, definitely. And this is definitely going to be a fun question to answer because the way that we view success is very different. Sammy is a lot more musically oriented, and I am much more fitness and athletically oriented when it comes to setting goals for success and things like that. So we'll be able to have two relatively polar perspectives on the same topic and what success means to us individually, and then what it means collectively as well.
Yeah, we can kind of compare the Venn diagram of what we view as success and our methods to get there.
Definitely.
So I think the most important thing, the first step to this whole endeavor of analyzing the mindset of success is asking yourself what success means to you, because it's easy to absorb society's expectations and what other people define as success and kind of conflate that with your own desires and get confused. So really ask yourself, what is success in this case? And Tina, I know you're doing social media content stuff, so maybe your metric for success is making that your job, or maybe it's a certain number of followers. But getting clear on the goal that you're going for is really important, because if you just get into a taxi and you don't tell him where to go, and he drops you off in some alley in some dangerous neighborhood, and you get out and you're like, yo, why'd you bring me to this alley? And he's like, you didn't tell me where you wanted to go. And I think a lot of us just live our lives with that kind of mindset where you're just going along, wait, I'm 35 and I'm married and I hate my wife and I hate my kids. How'd I get here? It's like, oh, well, you didn't actually define what you wanted.
Exactly. You need to figure out what you want, and then you need to come to terms with the fact that your version of success will likely be different from a lot of other people's versions of success. And once you come to terms with that and you become okay with that, then it'll feel much more freeing in order to chase that. But if you're constantly feeling like you're butting heads with other people just because your version of success is different from their version of success, it's never going to feel like what you're doing is actually supposed to be what you're doing.
Yeah. And so how do you set your goals? Wow, voice crack. My goal is to finish puberty by the time I'm 23 and a half. How do you set your goals and determine what success looks like to you?
For me, goals are completely individual. They have absolutely nothing to do with other people. They are just based on me and me alone and my performance alone. Whether or not there are other people around me, that does not matter, because at the end of the day, what it will take to succeed is ultimately up to my effort and what I do in order to get as close to that goal as possible or achieve that goal.
So for your example, that would probably be something like you want to hit a certain time in the pool or a new PR on the erg, not I want to win the race.
Exactly. Yeah. It's winning the race. That's great. But preparing in a way and getting yourself to a level of fitness that allows that to even be a possibility in the first place, I feel like is much more valuable, because when everybody lines up for the 100-meter dash in the Olympics, guarantee you every single one of those guys has a gold medal on his mind, but only one person can get it. So when you're going after your goals, you will never rise to the level of your goals. You will fall to the level of your preparation.
That's James Clear right there. He says fall to the level of your systems, which is same thing. Basically just it's and this actually comes to another point of mine, which is it's very important to define what the journey looks like to what that success destination is, because the majority of the time spent pursuing this thing is going to be just that. It's going to be pursuit. It's not going to be in the acquisition of it. So say my goal is to sell out Red Rocks. That show is going to be 1 hour, 2 hours max. And for me to say I'm not going to be happy until I do that would be ridiculous, because it's delaying my happiness until this occasion that's only going to last for a fleeting moment. So I think it's really important to not only define what are the actions that are going to get you there, and make that your metric. But also ask yourself, like, how can I enjoy the whole way there, because that's going to be the majority of the journey.
Definitely. It can be really hard to enjoy the process while you're doing it, because you think about how you might feel once you've achieved this goal. But once you achieve the goal, you're going to look back at all that preparation. You're going to be so grateful for everything you did. And like Sammy just said, that preparation is 99.9% of what it took in order to achieve this goal. So you might as well enjoy it while you're doing it, even if you haven't achieved that goal yet.
Yeah, and so that also comes to another thing that I was going to say, which is like, set input and output goals as opposed to the result. So again, to tie it into my life, it would be like, okay, I could set the result goal of I want 40 million monthly listeners, but that's a lot less in my control than I want to drop a song every week this year, or I want to release 10 TikToks every day, or like us with the podcast. We don't even have a numbers goal for the podcast. We just said this year we're going to do one every single week, because those are a lot more in your control. And when the goal is in your control, you feel a great sense of progress and accomplishment, because you're like, oh, okay, I did it again. And the momentum stacks. And once we're like 15 weeks into this, we don't want to miss week 16 because we got this far. But if you set just a goal based on some external thing that's not quite in your control, then it can be disheartening and discouraging to be like, I'm not there yet. What went wrong? And it can make you want to quit.
Definitely. And kind of along the lines of that too, it's figuring out the thing that will make you the most consistent, and then based on what your goal is, instead of just reaching at that goal over and over and over, create an environment where it makes it impossible to not reach that goal eventually. Not a matter of when, or not a matter of if, but a matter of when. There might be different benchmarks of when you want specific things to happen, but just make sure that at the end of the day, you know that as long as you keep doing X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be for your goal, make sure that you are cultivating an environment where as long as you are consistently doing these things, this hard work cannot be ignored. It is impossible for you to fail, and you will eventually succeed at what you want to. Eventually. Not a matter of if, but a matter of when.
Yeah, and I think the hard part here is what they call the valley of despair, which is when you start doing something and then you don't see immediate results. And the time between doing something and seeing results is when most people give up and quit, because when you're not seeing any sort of metric for progress, you can think you're crazy. There's a whole insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, which is true sometimes, but also other times it's like, actually, that quote kind of contradicts a lot of like lifting in the gym is lifting the same weight over and over again and expecting to get stronger. So there are some things where you might not see results immediately, but don't think you're insane and don't quit. There's this picture always haunts me of the guy. He's in the mine and he's mining for gold, and it's right there. It's like one pickaxe hit away, and he goes, what's the use? I've been mining this long, I'm just gonna turn around. It's like, dude, you never know how close you are. So after the valley of despair, I think they call it, and the valley, when you're in the valley of despair, it's informed pessimism. So you have evidence to reaffirm basically that you suck, which can be a hard thing. But once you get a little bit of progress, then you have informed optimism. So you start off with uninformed optimism. So you go into a pursuit. Say for me, I want to be the biggest artist in the world, or Justin, you want to be the best rower of all time. So you have uninformed optimism. You're like, you have no evidence right now, but you're just excited to do it. Then you start the thing and you're like, here I go, yippee, this is me doing it. Then you hit the valley of despair where you don't immediately see results. Now you have informed pessimism because you have evidence of your apparent shortcomings. But the problem is you're looking at it on too small of a time horizon. You have to zoom out. After you get through that valley of despair, you make it out to the informed optimism phase where you have evidence now that you're good. And then from there, you got to just keep going.
Yeah, definitely. And something I want to touch on really quickly, just on the weight analogy you made. Uh, it falls under the category of insanity if you're consistently just lifting the same amount of weight over and over. If you're
Mm.
lifting, don't forget to progressively overload, constantly be adding weight so as to stress your muscles more and differently. Make sure to switch things up every now and then. If you're lifting the same weight over and over, then it falls into that. But that's a necessary
Distinction.
distinction.
It's a good point because same thing with me. Say I'm like, oh, I've dropped 100 songs and I haven't seen the exact result that I want yet. Oh, I've been doing the same thing over and over again. That's insane. Well, no, I haven't dropped the same song 100 times. I have dropped different songs, and so it is still iterating and like progressively overloading, metaphorically.
Exactly, yeah. I think there's also something really valuable that comes from setting a goal that scares you. You think about your goal. For me, I like to think about whatever I want and then I push it a little bit further to the point where when I write it down, I kind of question myself and question my ability and go, wait, I don't even know if I can do this. I don't even know if this is possible. Because there's no point in setting a really big goal that you know you can get really quickly. Of course, there's short-term goals and long-term goals, but if there's something you really want, it shouldn't be something that you can get very easily. Otherwise, there just won't be much value attributed to it. The value comes from the struggle getting the thing rather than the thing itself.
Yeah, that's a big revelation too. Is you think you want the goal, but you really want how it's going to make you feel. And then once you're on the other side of it, you realize the actual gift was the person that you became along the way. It wasn't you hitting the swim record. It was the person that you had to become to get to that point in the discipline. And you didn't travel for 6 months. You didn't talk to a woman for 6 months, which was probably pretty easy for you because you never do.
It's pretty easy for me, but how's it been for you? You're 23 years in?
I'm fasting. It's a temperance exercise. No, but yeah, I think I like the idea of setting a goal that scares you. That reminds me of, I feel like we've told this before, but when I was setting my monthly listener goal when I first started this whole thing, and I think I'd already hit. I'd hit 50,000 at this point or something, or no, I'd hit 100,000. I had a poster on my wall that said I have 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and I was gonna say like I was gonna write 200,000 on it, and then Justin was like, "Nah, you should write 500." And I wrote it. I have 500,000 monthly listeners by whatever November 2021, and sure enough, I'd hit it. And so I still wonder like if I would have just written 200, if I would have fell to that level and only hit that because I wasn't aiming high enough.
Yeah, definitely. There's a Friedrich Nietzsche quote that I really like kind of on this same subject, and the quote goes, "I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and impossible. The fact that something seems impossible shouldn't be a reason not to pursue it. That's exactly what makes it worth pursuing. Where would the courage and greatness be if success was certain and there was no risk? The only true failure is shrinking away from life's challenges."
And what does that mean to you?
There's no point in attempting something and setting your entire life's goal to be something that you know you can get really easily. If I set my life goal to be driving home after this, and that was the end all be all, what happens after that? That's something I can do without even thinking. But if I set my goal to be walking across the United States, that's something that will take significantly more time, significantly more effort. And in the unlikely event that I don't even finish that and I get injured along the way or something like that, or some catastrophic event prevents me from doing it, well, hey, at least I went out and I tried to do something crazy. I attempted it. There's another quote by Theodore Roosevelt. It's a very long quote, but it basically touches on the idea that it's not the critic who counts or how the idiot points out how the strong man stumbles. The credit actually goes to the man in the arena. Whether he wins or loses, he had the courage to go in and do what he wanted to do with the chance that it wasn't going to go his way.
Yeah, just by trying, you are succeeding, and the only way to fail is to quit and to stop. I think both me and Justin really just respect anybody who's going after anything. If you're going after something in this life and you're trying, that's awesome. I think you're successful already if you're brave enough to try to do something. And back to we talked about this in the last episode, but dealing with hate, it's like most times people that are criticizing you are not trying. They're not trying, and so you actually attempting to do something just kind of reminds them of their own inadequacy and their own fear. And so they're like, he's trying to do this thing, and it actually reminds me that I have a thing deep inside of my mind that I wanted to do at one point, but I kind of stomped out of existence, and now I'm not. But seeing him reminds me of my own shortcomings, so I'm gonna just hate on him, and maybe he'll quit, and then I can feel better about myself.
Exactly. Yeah, it's people kind of see others doing potentially what they want to be doing, and it rattles them because it makes them dig a little deeper into who they are and snaps them out of this routine that they've been in living every single day, and it shakes them. It's like, oh my gosh, this person is doing what I wanted to do, and I haven't had the courage in order to do it yet, and the fact that they're doing it, this is really bothering me. And along the lines of that too, it can be really challenging to be in that situation and start doing what you want to do, because although there will be people who will view you as successful already because you're attempting whatever it is your goal may be, there will also be so many people who look at you and see that you aren't successful yet, whatever success means to them. You don't fit the ideology of success. You don't make a lot of money yet. You don't have a lot of friends yet. You don't have whatever it is you're going for yet. And they will be laughing at you. They'll say bad things to you. And one of the things that I like to think about in order to help myself with this is that the conductor has to turn his back on the crowd in order to conduct the orchestra. You have to be able to really dial in on exactly what you want and not listen to those around you, those who say bad things to you, those even looking at you. You turn your back on them and you focus on what really matters to you, because you know that more than anyone else does. You know your own goals more than anyone else does. You know exactly what you need to do more than anyone else does. And if you just put your head down and you dial towards that, then like I said before, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
That was beautiful. That was very well said. Hopefully you guys can play that every morning and every night. I'm about to do that.
Hopefully that makes it into a reel or an edit with some
dramatic music,
some type of rocky music behind that. Wow.
We should make that. Yeah, but tunnel vision I think is the gist of what Justin is saying, because yeah, even like your family and your friends who maybe support you or want to support you, they might not get it when it's in the early stages, but you can't let their misunderstanding about it lead to your hesitation, because them not understanding it is just because they're not in it. They're not in it. Like when I first started music, my grandma didn't get it, my extended family didn't get it. It's because it's a foreign thing. And I remember I was talking with my aunt the other day, and she was saying how in her time, it was a very, very typical path to success. And obviously success was a lot more narrow of a definition at that point. I think success at that point was literally just, we get a job that makes enough money, have kids, have a house, die. But the path was college, find a job, work your way up the corporate ladder, and do better. So for her, with all of her knowledge that she had and her life experience, she sees this thing that I'm doing, and she's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. He's going off the rails. This is so untraditional. And yeah, it's not traditional, but that doesn't mean that it's not the right path for me. And we always talk about this, is that there's never been a you before, ever in existence. So why are you basing your capabilities and limitations on what other people have done? And we do this all the time, and we think, okay, well, can this person do it? This person, maybe I can, maybe I can't. But there's never been a you. So even if you're going for a goal that nobody's ever done before, okay, which I feel like most of you guys listening, the goals you're doing, you can probably find some archetype or some human who's done it before, which is inspiring. But even if you want to do something nobody's done before, don't let that be a reason to feel discouraged, because The world is full of people who are doing things for the first time. That's how progress happens. If the Wright brothers thought nobody's ever made a plane before, why should we? How different would the world be? So don't let the fact that nobody's ever done it discourage you, and don't let other people not understanding what you're doing discourage you, because once you're on the other side of it, they're going to go, yeah, we didn't really get it, but like, you're crushing it. So try to keep the blinders on when you're in those early stages, because you're pretty vulnerable in those early stages.
What is your definition of success?
That's a good question. My friend Liam, shout out Liam and Kim in England. They helped me a little bit with this. He asked me a question. He said, what does your perfect day look like? Because I think it's a lot less nebulous and up in the air than what is success. But if you ask what does your perfect day look like, you can reverse engineer what that actually looks like and what success means. And so for me, really, it's just having the complete freedom to do what I want when I want. And so then what would I do with that freedom is the next question. And look, if I can wake up and be in the sun and eat my acai bowls and make music and hang out with people I love and not have anybody telling me what to do and travel where I want, when I want, play shows, those are all the things that I define as success, which is important to constantly remind myself of, because I don't know when this happened, but at some point in the last 5 years, I hit that point. And this is another good thing to hit on, which is we're really good at kicking the goalpost of success down the road and not looking up to realize that you've already arrived at the destination that you started with. Like when I started, my definition of success was I want music to be my job. When I started, that was it. And at some point, which I cannot define, it just became, no, now I want to sell out arenas. It's like, wait a second, did I even take a second to realize like you've hit the other goal? And I think we rarely do. So back to spin on your question, I think I answered what my definition of success is now. And I feel very grateful to say that I feel that I'm living it.
That's good.
What about you?
As of now, I think my definition of success is laying in bed every night knowing that I had a good and productive day, knowing that the time that I spent awake was being used towards something. Like if I can look back on my day and think, yes, that was a good day, and I can do that every single day, that's success to me.
Yeah, I like that a lot, because it brings the reflection that we all tend to do at the end of the year, or some people even at the end of their life, and it shrinks that down to just making a day a version of your life. Because I've been thinking about how I want to take Sundays this year and look at Sunday as like New Year's Eve every single week. Because if you look at every Sunday as New Year's Eve, you reflect on your last week as if it was an entire year, and you go, okay, I had all these goals for the year. If this week was the entire year, did I live up? Did I live up to it? Did I do all the things? Did I hit the mark? And if your answer is no, it's like, okay, well, I can do better this coming new year, quote, quote, but it's actually just a new week. And it's a lot better to do that and have that realization every single week and start anew as opposed to every year. But I like what you said, because you're doing it every day.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I want to touch on as well is when it comes to nerves. A lot of people, when they want to get started on a goal, or they are nervous about whether or not they will fulfill their goal, or even if they're at a point in the process of trying to fulfill the goal and it's a smaller goal along the way, a smaller little accomplishment, they can get nervous thinking, if I don't get this, then I won't be able to get the long term. And oh gosh, what if everything that everyone has been saying about me is right? What if I'm not actually the person that I'm cut out to be? What if all of this has been for nothing? And like we are humans. Sometimes we have these thoughts and they can make us nervous. Our heart will beat a little faster. Sometimes we get really nervous from things. And I'm not sure where I read this, but pretty recently I read this little shift on nervousness that I've been thinking about every single day, multiple times a day since, that your rising heart rate that you get from nervousness, you can reframe that as your internal applause, your body giving you an applause because your body likes what you're doing and wants to cheer you on.
I love that.
Yeah, rather than it being some type of negative emotion, it's, hey, your body is really cheering you on right now because you're doing the right thing.
Wow. And it's just an instant reframe.
Instant reframe, and it really, really spoke to me. And I think about it all the time now.
Yeah, because otherwise you're letting your nervous system and your body tell you what to do and boss you around. You're like, I should do it. Oh, wait, no, I feel nervous. Never mind.
Exactly. But with this little reframe, you're getting nervous. Like no, it's not like this is going to prevent you from doing it. Like, no, your body's getting hyped up. It's getting ready to go. It's like let's go. It's like when the best player walks back onto the field and everyone's giving him that crazy round of applause. That's what your body is doing for you, or at least that's how I like to see it.
Yeah, and I want to circle back for a second because I just thought of something else on the whole, like, kind of looking at every day as your life. And it reminded me, I've kind of come to this realization recently, which is, okay, we talk about the whole not delaying your happiness until you've hit your goal. Don't say, I'm going to be happy once I get this XYZ. And I've been great at doing that on a large scale, but I've realized recently that sometimes I'm not as good at doing that on a day scale. Example being, I might not be in the best mood until I've accomplished something. I might not feel like I can be fully present with everybody and be totally myself until I've gotten the work that I want to get done that day. But then I realize that is the same thing as saying, I'm not going to be happy until I've hit this goal. It's just doing it on a smaller scale. So ironically, I was less self-aware in the short term than the long term. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. It can be a little bit hard to do the mindset switch and really be aware of what's going on when it happens. But once you realize that your happiness is independent from the goal itself, it's a very freeing feeling.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, you don't have to bully yourself into submission and bully yourself into success. I think it's a common misconception that you have to be hard on yourself and you have to yell at yourself to get things done and tell yourself how terrible you are if you don't do the thing. But I've heard that described as like dirty fuel or negative motivation, and it might work, but it's not the most effective way because, yeah, you might get the thing you want, but are you going to feel good about it? And are you going to let that success sink in, or are you just going to think, oh, okay, well, I did this, but now I have to do more because you're reinforcing a pattern of inadequacy as opposed to, like the reframe you said, cheering yourself on for going after the thing you want.
Exactly. That reminds me of another reframe that I like to do, because this concept of grinding, I'm on the grind, I'm grinding away, that inherently is a relatively negative process applied to a human being. When you think of grinding something down, grinding away, you're taking something and you're removing it from it. You're chiseling away material. You don't want to think of you working towards your goal as removing parts of yourself or wearing yourself out. You want to think of like building yourself up and really getting after what you want to be, what you want to become, instead of kind of wearing yourself out and maybe metaphorically selling your soul in order to get this goal that you actually want.
Yeah, and it makes me think of something else too, which is, I think a sneaky thing that we can do is look at other people who have the thing that we want and think that they have some sort of superhuman quality that you don't, and use that as an excuse to not try. So yeah, it's easy for Justin to hit that record because, like, look at him. He's jacked and handsome and he floats better than I do, so I'm not even going to try. Or like I'm sure you guys have seen those like pickup artist videos where it's like, yeah, all you got to do is go up and say hi, and then the comments are like, easy for him to do. He's 6'8" and jacked with a mustache. Like, of course he's going to crush it. But what those people are saying is, this is a permission slip for me not to try. And what's it called? It's the fundamental attribution error, which is we attribute other people's negative actions to their character, but our own negative actions to some sort of circumstance, right? So if somebody else if somebody else cuts you off in traffic, it's because they're a terrible person. But if you cut somebody off, it's because you were in a rush. The inverse of that is if somebody does something positive, we are more likely to say that it is just because they were in a good mood that day, or attributed to something external. Whereas if we do something positive, it's because we're a great person. But when you apply this to looking at people who are successful, a lot of times we can pedestalize them, and we can say that they have something that we don't. So it doesn't the theory doesn't work in the same way when you're looking at people in that light, because I feel like we're using that as an excuse to not try.
Yeah, definitely. This kind of touches on the next thing I wanted to talk about as well, and that is the fact that life is not fair. Some people will have advantages because of who they are as a person, but in that same respect, you will also have advantages that other people don't have. Please use whatever advantages you have. Don't feel guilty for using whatever advantage you have. If you have a connection to someone in a really high up position in whatever type of company you want to join, or you have someone you can talk to, an easy line for an internship you want, don't feel like that's cheating because you have that connection. That's a good advantage to have, and other people are going to have different advantages. Don't feel like you're somehow cheating the system because you were able to create good situations for yourself. Use whatever you have at your plate. Like, use whatever abilities you are able to have.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one too. And not feeling any sort of guilt about your success once you start to acquire it, and once you start to see the things build and your success accumulate. It can be, if you're an empathetic and compassionate person, it can be a knee-jerk reaction to feel almost a sort of guilt. How am I so lucky to have all this when other people are suffering? But this is something that I've felt before. But the reframe that I have been told that has helped me a lot is the best thing you can do for yourself and the world is to shine your light. And you're not doing anybody any favors by dimming yourself down out of fear, out of guilt, out of insecurity. The best thing you can do is be the best version of you, and your success is going to be helpful to people, because when you shine your light, it inspires other people to shine theirs. And if you're happy, it gives other people permission to be happy as well. So don't feel any sort of guilt or shame around doing well for yourself, because it's a permission slip for everyone else to do the same.
Definitely. It's also just an insult to yourself if you don't use what you were given. Like, if I saw someone who was 5'3", 5'4", and thought, wow, that person is really small, they probably wouldn't be as good of a swimmer as me, they probably wouldn't be able to lift as much weight as me. So because I feel bad for them, I'm not going to lift any weight as a way to kind of sympathize with them. I'm not going to lift any weight. I'm not going to row or do anything. No, that's just going to make them feel worse. And that's just going to make yourself feel worse, because you were given such a good opportunity. I'll use myself for an example. It would be such an insult to myself if I didn't use my size and fitness for something productive. And I used it for swimming, and now I use it for rowing. And if I saw someone smaller, 5'3", 5'4", and thought, okay, I'm going to quit my rowing team because this person doesn't have the same opportunities as me, that would be really stupid on my end, and that would be insulting for them, and they would think that I'm just stupid because I can use an example of someone on my team. I have some teammates who are 5'3", 5'4", and they are the coxswains, and they have that advantage over me. They are able to work the job as a coxswain because they are significantly smaller, and that job is just as, if not more important than the job that I have. You can't look at the differences between you and someone else, and because you might be more athletically or intellectually inclined to do something more than another person, you can't look at someone with a lens of pity. You guys are just different. That's literally it. There doesn't have to be any type of negative or pitiful attribution towards that person whatsoever. You guys are just different.
Yeah, and you're not doing anybody any favors by slowing yourself down or limiting yourself. I think we have this idea that there's only 3 pieces of pizza left, and oh, I'm going to leave that one for somebody else. But you leaving your potential on the table isn't like you're leaving it up for grabs for someone else to take, like the last slice of pizza. You leaving your potential on the table actually is a disservice to everybody else in the world. And this is something that I got to remind myself. And it's actually selfish of you to not go after your hopes and dreams, because you could be depriving somebody of the inspiration that they need.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of goes along the idea of the fact that your cup needs to be filled if you want to help other people. If you're constantly just helping others and you don't do anything for yourself, eventually you will run out and you will have helped all of these people do whatever it is they want to do, and you will be left with nothing because you never decided to prioritize yourself. But if you fill up your own cup first and really do what it is you want to do, there are so many successful people that have had successful careers that after they do what it is they really want to do in life, they pivot into helping other people. And because they've had such a successful career, they have gotten so much fulfillment out of that, and they've gotten so much perspective that they can help these people even more than if they had tried to help them along the way to who they were becoming.
Well said. I think we can end it on that note, unless you have anything else to add about mindsets.
No, I cooked.
Yeah, you cooked right there. That was beautiful. All right, yeah, we'll leave it with this. You guys got this, whatever you're going after. Maybe shoot us a DM and let us know if you enjoyed the episode and if this inspired you in any way. Keep doing your thing. If you want to come back to this episode to re-listen to get reminded of all the mindsets that we like to use to help us out, feel free to do so. And yeah, you got this. We believe in you.
Exactly, yeah. Any questions at all, too, you can hit us with questions if you want more analysis on something, or like a personal opinion, or anything like that. DMs are open. Yeah,
maybe we'll do an episode at one point where someone they could ask for tips in a certain area and we could answer questions.
Definitely.
Awesome. Love you guys. See you soon.
Peace.